Over 60? These 10 subtle signs reveal how long you'll live, backed by science. Have you ever wondered how much time you really have left? Not in a fearful way, but in a curious one. You wake up, maybe a little slower than you used to. Your knees creak a bit. Maybe your memory slips now and then. But deep down, you want to know the truth. What's the real state of your health? Is your body quietly telling you how long you'll live? Most people think the biggest indicators of longevity are obvious: diet, exercise, maybe even genetics. But what if some of the strongest predictors are small, strange clues hiding in your everyday routine? What you're about to hear might shock you, because the signs we'll explore today aren't the ones your doctor usually talks about. In fact, they're so subtle, most seniors overlook them entirely. But science says they matter, and they can quietly predict your odds of living a longer, stronger, and more independent life. And the best part? If you spot these signs early, you can improve them. This isn't about fate. It's about awareness, action, and taking back control. Because your future isn't written yet, and these hidden signs might help you rewrite it. Let's start with one of the most surprising clues of all. Something that only takes a few seconds to test, but may quietly tell you everything. Number 10. How fast you walk. You might not think much about the speed of your stride. After all, most of us slow down a bit with age, right? But here's something most people don't realize. How fast you walk after 60 can quietly predict how long you'll live. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh analyzed the walking speeds of over 34,000 adults aged 65 and older. What they found was stunning. Seniors who walked just a bit faster than average were significantly more likely to live longer. In fact, walking speed was a better predictor of survival than age. So why is that? Walking speed isn't just about your legs. It's a whole body performance. It reflects the health of your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your nerves, and even your brain. When your body moves in rhythm, arms swinging, feet landing evenly, posture upright, that coordination means multiple systems are working together. And when that rhythm slows, it can be a subtle early warning. Your body is a symphony. And walking is one of the clearest ways to tell if that music is in tune. Here's the part most seniors miss. It's not about walking fast like an athlete. It's about whether your usual pace is getting slower over time. Have you noticed you take more breaks walking across a supermarket? Or that you prefer holding on to something for support, even for short distances? Those tiny changes matter more than you think. And it's not just physical. Slower walkers also tend to score lower on memory tests, and are more likely to develop cognitive decline. Why? Because the same brain centers that control movement also manage memory and planning. When those regions begin to struggle, the signals reach your body too. Now here's the good news. This is one of the easiest things to improve if you catch it early. Studies show that seniors who add just 15 minutes of intentional walking per day can improve not just their pace, but their lifespan. But the key is intention. That means walking with purpose, using your arms, engaging your core, and focusing on your posture. And if walking has become painful or tiring, that's a sign to look deeper, not to stop. Gentle stretching, supportive shoes, balance exercises, and even walking poles can rebuild the strength and coordination needed to restore your stride. Have you felt this yourself? Do you catch yourself taking smaller steps than you used to? You're not imagining it. You're not alone. And you're certainly not stuck this way. Your body is still listening and responding. So here's a simple test. Time yourself walking 10 meters at your usual pace. If it takes more than 6 seconds, that could be a sign to start taking small, daily actions now. Not to panic, but to pay attention. Because your walking speed isn't just about mobility. It's a message from your entire body. And if you listen carefully, it could be one of the most accurate clues to how long and how well you'll live. Now let's move on to something most people never associate with longevity, but it may quietly affect everything from your heart to your independence. Number 9. Grip strength. You might think that a strong grip only matters for opening jars or carrying groceries, but the truth is, it could be silently predicting your future. A surprising number of studies have confirmed this. According to a major review published in The Lancet, seniors with weaker grip strength had significantly higher risks of heart disease, stroke, and even early death. And this wasn't just in the elderly. It was consistent across middle-aged adults too. But after 60, it becomes especially telling. Why would something as simple as your grip predict your health? Your hands are packed with nerves, blood vessels, and fine muscles. When you grip something, your brain sends a signal down your spinal cord, your heart pushes oxygen-rich blood into your arm, your muscles contract, and your body stabilizes to keep you steady. It's a full-body action. Think about what happens when that process is slow, weak, or disconnected. If your nervous system isn't firing properly, or your blood isn't flowing fast enough, your grip will reflect it. It's a bit like the canary in the coal mine, and for seniors, it's one of the earliest signs that circulation, muscle tone, and brain-to-body connection may be slipping. But that's not all. A weak grip also often correlates with decreased walking speed, poor balance, and even cognitive decline. Why? Because grip strength is part of a larger picture. If you're losing strength in your hands, chances are your legs, core, and heart might be weakening too. You may have even noticed it in daily life. Are twist-off lids getting harder to open? Are you dropping things more often? Does your hand feel tired just from carrying a bag of groceries? These aren't just annoyances. They're signs that your muscular system might be losing tone, and that's a red flag for your metabolic and cardiovascular health. You don't need fancy gym equipment to improve grip strength. Just simple habits like squeezing a tennis ball, using resistance bands, or even wringing out a towel by hand every morning can begin restoring your nerve-to-muscle connection and blood flow. Even hanging from a sturdy bar for a few seconds a day can increase shoulder strength and posture, and the benefits go far beyond your hands. When grip improves, seniors often report better posture, stronger legs, steadier walking, and more energy overall. It's a domino effect. A healthy grip isn't just about what your hands can do. It's about what your body is still capable of. It's about independence, confidence, and the ability to move through the world on your terms. Have you checked your grip lately? Try this. Squeeze your own wrist or a small ball. Does it feel firm and confident? Or weak and uncertain? The strength is still in you. It just needs to be reawakened. And in just a moment, we'll look at something even more surprising. It's a subtle habit that most people overlook, but it could be cutting years off your lifespan without you even realizing it. Number 8. How fast you can rise from a chair without using your hands. It sounds almost too simple. But your ability to stand up from a seated position without pushing off with your arms might be one of the strongest and most overlooked indicators of longevity in adults over 60. In fact, studies have shown this test to be a powerful predictor of survival over the next 6 years. Researchers in Brazil followed over 2,000 people between the ages of 51 and 80. The task? Sit down on the floor, then stand back up, using as little support as possible. Each participant was scored out of 10, with points deducted for using hands, knees, or losing balance. Those with the lowest scores were 6 times more likely to die earlier than those who could do it smoothly. Why is this such a big deal? Because this single action compresses so many bodily systems into one test. It measures lower body strength, balance, flexibility, core engagement, and even neurological coordination. In just 5 seconds, you get a full snapshot of your body's aging or its resilience. When you rely on your hands to push up, it usually means your leg strength has declined, your balance is uncertain, or your core has weakened. These are the same vulnerabilities that can lead to serious falls, fractures, hospital stays, or worse. Have you tried this lately? Next time you're sitting on a firm chair, see if you can stand up without using your arms for help. Just plant your feet firmly, engage your core, and rise. If it feels shaky, or you find yourself leaning or grabbing, that's your body sending a quiet but serious message. And if the floor test feels out of reach, that's okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness and gentle daily improvements. Try practicing with a low chair or a firm bed edge. Even small efforts to rise without assistance reawaken dormant muscles and retrain your nervous system to trust your balance again. You can even add sit-to-stand routines to your morning. 5 repetitions after brushing your teeth. Another 5 before lunch. No gym, no equipment, just your body reconnecting with its natural strength. In multiple follow-up studies, seniors who improved their stand-up score over just a few months also showed measurable improvements in blood flow, oxygen uptake, and heart rhythm stability. That means you're not just getting stronger, you're quite literally extending your life from the inside out. So if you've been feeling stiff, unsteady, or reliant on support lately, don't ignore it. Start paying attention to how you rise, because how you get up today could predict how you live tomorrow. And the next subtle sign on this list might seem totally unrelated to health, but once you hear the research, you'll see why it might be the most emotionally powerful one yet. Number 7, your reaction to stress. This might not seem obvious at first, but how your body and mind handle stress could quietly be predicting how long you'll live. And no, this isn't just about feeling overwhelmed or frustrated. We're talking about how your body physically responds when life gets difficult. Do your muscles tighten? Does your heart rate jump? Most people think stress is purely emotional. But scientists now know that stress physically damages your body, especially after 60. A study from the University of California found that chronic stress speeds up the shortening of your telomeres, the protective ends of your chromosomes that determine how quickly your cells age and die. Think of telomeres like the little plastic caps on shoelaces. Once they fray, the lace unravels. In your body, this unraveling means faster aging, slower healing, more inflammation, and ultimately, a shorter life. Now here's where it gets interesting. Some people face stress daily, but their bodies bounce back quickly. Others remain stuck in a high-stress state for hours or even days. This lingering effect is called allostatic load, and it's one of the most important predictors of health after 60. If your body stays inflamed and agitated long after a stressful event, it can quietly drain your heart health, weaken your immune system, and even shrink parts of your brain linked to memory and focus. So what does this look like in real life? If you notice your shoulders are always tense, your sleep is broken, your digestion is off, or you feel tired after minor emotional events, your body might be stuck in stress mode. And that's where the danger builds quietly. But here's the good news. You don't have to remove all stress from your life to reverse this. What matters more is how you recover. A 2019 study published in Frontiers in Psychology found that people over 60 who practiced daily deep breathing, even just 5 minutes at a time, lowered their cortisol levels significantly. And those who engaged in regular gentle movement like Tai Chi, walking, or even light stretching were better able to shut off the stress response after challenging moments. Have you felt this too? That racing feeling that doesn't leave your chest, even hours later? Most people ignore it until the damage shows up in blood pressure, memory lapses, or unexpected health scares. Now imagine what happens when you give your body a daily routine to tell it, you're safe. A predictable walk after breakfast. A calming tea before bed. Even a few slow breaths before opening the mail or making a call. These tiny recovery cues might seem small, but they help your nervous system shift back into balance, repair itself, and age more gracefully. And speaking of powerful daily habits that extend your health span, we've seen hundreds of seniors in our private community transform their energy, clarity, and circulation simply by changing their morning routine. If you want tools, guidance, and real connection with others on this path, visit us at thegoldenyearsrx.com. It's a space built for people like you, Seniors who aren't giving in to the aging myths, but rewriting their own story instead. And if even one part of this video has opened your eyes or made you think differently, please consider subscribing to this channel. It's the best way to help us reach more seniors with the truth about healthy aging, and it lets us keep creating this kind of life-changing content for free. Number 6. Your sense of smell. It's one of the most overlooked and underestimated predictors of longevity, and science is backing it up in a big way. You might think, I've just gotten older, so naturally things don't smell as strong. But what if I told you that a fading sense of smell is not just about your nose? It's a red flag about your brain, your metabolism, and even your heart. Researchers at the University of Chicago conducted a study involving over 3,000 older adults. They discovered that seniors with a poor sense of smell were nearly 3 times more likely to die within 5 years compared to those with a sharp nose. And this wasn't just linked to illness or infection. It was a consistent predictor, almost like a warning light on your car dashboard that too many people ignore. So what does your nose have to do with how long you'll live? Your ability to smell is tied directly to the olfactory nerve, one of the only nerves that connects directly to the brain's memory and emotion center, the hippocampus. As we age, that area can start to shrink or weaken, especially in people with early signs of cognitive decline or neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. A poor sense of smell has been connected to reduced immune function. Your body uses scent to detect danger, spoiled food, smoke, gas leaks. When your sense of smell is dull, you're less able to respond to these threats. That increases your risk of exposure to toxins, malnutrition, or environmental hazards without even realizing it. There's also a nutritional link. A poor sense of smell often leads to a poor appetite. When food no longer smells appealing, eating becomes mechanical. This can lead to undereating, nutrient deficiencies, and a silent slide into frailty. Without enough protein, vitamins, and minerals, your muscles weaken, your immunity drops, and recovery slows. The body stops rebuilding and starts deteriorating. Have you found yourself saying things like, "I just don't enjoy meals anymore," or "everything smells the same these days"? That might be your body whispering that something deeper is going on. But here's the good news. This doesn't mean your fate is sealed. In fact, this is one of the most reversible signs in the entire list, if you know what to do. Let's start with a simple daily habit: scent training. Just like physical exercise strengthens your muscles, regular exposure to strong natural scents like lemon, clove, eucalyptus, or mint can actually retrain your olfactory nerve. Take a few minutes each day to breathe them in, slowly and mindfully. Over time, studies show this can improve smell sensitivity and help reconnect those brain pathways. You can also boost your smell and brain connection through specific foods. Zinc-rich options like pumpkin seeds, lentils, and chickpeas support olfactory nerve health. Omega-3s from flaxseed or walnuts reduce inflammation around the brain's sensory areas. Even hydrating more regularly can improve nasal function, since dehydration dries out your nasal passages and reduces your sense of smell. And don't overlook your environment. Poor air quality, mold, or even long-term exposure to cleaning chemicals can damage your sense of smell without you realizing it. Keeping your home well ventilated and switching to natural cleaners can help preserve your nose's sensitivity. There's also something more emotional at play here. Smell is deeply tied to memory. The scent of your grandmother's cooking, freshly cut grass in summer, your partner's favorite soap. When you lose your sense of smell, those connections start to fade too, and with them, parts of your identity. But regaining it, even slightly, often brings back a sense of joy and connection to the world. It's not just about detecting odors, it's about feeling alive, present, and aware again. So if you've noticed food tasting bland, or if you haven't smelled flowers, coffee, or fresh bread in a long time, take it seriously. It's not just an inconvenience. It could be a sign of inflammation in your brain, early neurodegeneration, or reduced cellular regeneration throughout your body. Many seniors brush this off, thinking it's just part of getting older. But the science is clear. Your sense of smell may be one of the clearest signals of how your body is aging on the inside. Number 5. How often you laugh. This one might catch you by surprise. We don't often think of laughter as a predictor of health, let alone longevity. But science says otherwise. In fact, your ability and willingness to laugh may quietly reveal more about your body and future lifespan than you've ever imagined. Laughter is not just a light-hearted social act. It's a full-body exercise. Your lungs expand, your diaphragm contracts, your heart rate changes, your blood vessels dilate, your brain releases a cocktail of feel-good chemicals like endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin. And in the background, your stress hormones drop significantly. But what most people don't realize is this. As we age, we tend to laugh less. Not because life is less funny, but because we're often weighed down by pain, isolation, fatigue, or a constant sense of urgency. And here's what scientists are discovering: that decline in laughter might mirror the decline in something much deeper, your resilience. According to a study published in Psychosomatic Medicine, seniors who laughed regularly showed a significantly lower risk of cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes. And in a Japanese cohort study that tracked nearly 20,000 older adults, those who rarely laughed were 1.2 times more likely to experience functional disability over time than those who laughed every day. Why? Because laughter is stress relief in its purest form. And stress, especially chronic low-level stress, is one of the most powerful silent killers for people over 60. It increases inflammation, narrows your blood vessels, impairs digestion, and weakens the immune system. In short, it ages you fast. But when you laugh, your body switches gears. The parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. Blood pressure lowers, circulation improves. Your muscles relax. Your mind becomes clearer. And for that brief moment, you feel lighter, not just emotionally, but physically. That lightness is healing. Have you noticed that you don't laugh as much as you used to? Maybe conversations feel more serious. Maybe you're too tired to joke around. Maybe you watch the news more than you watch comedies. You're not alone. Many older adults go entire days without a single real laugh. Not a polite smile, not a chuckle, but a belly laugh, the kind that surprises you. That shakes your ribs. That makes you feel like yourself again. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Laughter also builds connection. Shared laughter increases trust between people, strengthens bonds, and releases oxytocin, the same chemical that floods your brain during moments of intimacy and love. And social connection is another massive predictor of lifespan. Seniors who report feeling connected through friendship, laughter, or family live longer, recover faster, and experience fewer cognitive declines. It's all linked. So if your days are becoming quieter, more serious, or filled with silent worry, this is your permission to bring laughter back. You don't need to wait for it. You can create it. Watch something that genuinely makes you laugh. Call the friend who always tells the same silly story. Join a local club or community where humor is part of the culture. Even better, laugh at yourself. Not in a way that puts you down, but in a way that sets you free. Because life doesn't stop being funny after 60. But sometimes we just need to remember how to look for the humor in the mundane, the awkward, and the unpredictable. And there's another benefit too. Laughter boosts memory. A study from Loma Linda University showed that seniors who watched 20 minutes of humorous videos before a memory test scored significantly higher than those who didn't. The reason? Laughter reduces cortisol, the stress hormone that interferes with memory formation. So if you've been noticing more brain fog lately, more forgetfulness, or just a heaviness in your mood, consider this simple intervention. Laugh every single day. Not only will it lift your spirit, but it may very well extend your life, and more importantly, it will add life to your years. What's next is something so simple, it often gets ignored, yet it quietly reveals everything about how fast your body is aging. Number 4. Your ability to get up from a chair without using your hands. This one might seem too simple to matter. After all, how hard is it to get up from a chair? You've probably done it thousands of times. But what if I told you that this tiny, everyday movement might be one of the strongest indicators of how long and how well you'll live? There's something fascinating researchers discovered when they started studying seniors' movements. The way a person rises from a seated position without using their hands or arms to push activates a delicate blend of balance, strength, joint integrity, and core control. And if even one of those systems is beginning to decline, it shows. In fact, a well-known study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found that the sit-to-stand test could predict mortality risk. Participants who could rise from the floor or a low seat without using their hands were significantly more likely to live longer than those who struggled. Why is this test so powerful? Because getting up from a seated position mimics one of the most fundamental skills tied to independence, standing up after falling. If your legs are too weak, your balance too shaky, or your coordination too delayed, getting up becomes a challenge. And that single inability can turn a minor slip into a catastrophic health event. But here's what most people don't realize. The decline in this ability doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly. First, you lean forward more. Then you start pushing off with your hands. Then you need an armrest. Then you find yourself avoiding low chairs altogether. It's a silent transition until it becomes a loud wake-up call. Have you noticed yourself doing this? Placing both hands on your knees before you stand? Using the edge of a table to push yourself up? Pausing longer than usual before rising, as if your body is bracing itself? These are not just habits. They are signals. Signals that your body may be losing one of its most vital protective functions, the strength to recover. And the danger isn't just physical. As you begin to lose confidence in your movements, you also start to withdraw. You avoid walks. You hesitate to go out. You sit longer, move less, and your world starts to shrink. But here's the good news. This is one of the most reversible signs on this list. With the right approach, your ability to get up from a chair without help can improve often in just weeks. Simple leg-strengthening routines can work wonders. Exercises like seated leg lifts, slow bodyweight squats, or even getting up and down from a dining chair 10 times a day can reignite dormant muscles. It's about consistency, not intensity. And don't forget your core. Many seniors underestimate how much your abdominal muscles contribute to balance and mobility. When your core is weak, even standing up feels like a wobble, but when it's engaged, everything feels more stable. Another tip, make sure you're fueling your muscles properly. Seniors often eat less protein than they need, which makes it harder to maintain strength. Foods like lentils, eggs, or Greek-style yogurt can offer a gentle but powerful boost to muscle health. Also, check in with your hydration. When your muscles are dehydrated, they don't contract properly. That's why even a little water loss can lead to shakiness, especially in the legs. So try this test later today. Sit in a dining chair with your arms crossed over your chest. Can you rise smoothly? Can you do it again without wobbling? If not, that's not a failure. It's just feedback. Because with small daily changes, you can rebuild your strength, your balance, and your confidence. And every time you rise without your hands, you're sending your body and your brain a signal. I am still capable. I am still strong. I still move forward. Next is something even more invisible, but just as powerful. It's a sign that hides in plain sight, and it can quietly change the way your entire body ages. Number 3, your resting heart rate. Most people over 60 don't think twice about their resting heart rate. It's often mentioned briefly during doctor visits, maybe glanced at on a smartwatch or fitness tracker, but rarely does it command real attention. Yet researchers around the world agree, your resting heart rate is one of the most powerful, predictive signs of how long and how well you'll live. Here's why this simple number is so important. Think of your heart like the engine of your body. A resting heart rate is the speed it runs when you're sitting quietly, not stressed, not exerting yourself. The ideal is somewhere between 60 and 80 beats per minute for most seniors. But here's the key. The lower the resting rate within that healthy range, the more efficient your heart is. It's like a car cruising down the highway without burning too much fuel. Now, what happens when that number starts to creep up? Well, it's a sign your heart is working harder than it should, even at rest. It may mean your body is under silent stress. Maybe inflammation is building. Maybe your arteries are stiffening. Maybe your heart muscle is weakening. Studies from Harvard and the European Heart Journal have found that a consistently elevated resting heart rate, especially above 85 beats per minute, can raise your risk of death from all causes by up to 50%. That's a staggering number, and what makes it worse is that this silent stress doesn't always feel like stress. You may not have chest pain. You may not feel your heart racing. But if your resting rate is elevated, it's like your body is constantly tapping the accelerator even when you think you're parked, and over time, that wears you down. Now here's the link to longevity that's even more eye-opening. In a groundbreaking study that tracked seniors for over a decade, those with lower resting heart rates had significantly better mobility, sharper mental clarity, and a much lower risk of sudden heart events. Why? Because their bodies were simply more efficient. Their blood carried oxygen more easily. Their cells were better nourished. Their systems weren't in overdrive. Does this sound familiar? Have you been feeling more tired lately, even without exerting yourself? Do you sometimes feel breathless when climbing stairs even though your muscles feel fine? Or maybe you've noticed your sleep is shallow, your thoughts feel scattered, or you're waking up less refreshed than you used to. All of those may be linked to a body under subtle, chronic strain, and often a higher resting heart rate is the first clue. But here's the good news. This is one of the most reversible signs on this list. Unlike genetics or family history, your heart rate is something you can influence, starting today. The simplest way? Just 5 minutes of slow, deep breathing every morning. Research shows that this practice alone can reduce your resting heart rate over time. Another surprisingly powerful strategy is drinking hibiscus tea daily. Studies have shown it can support heart rate variability and ease blood pressure gently. And here's one more tip that's easy to miss. If you're taking over-the-counter medications that contain stimulants, such as certain decongestants or painkillers, they might be quietly pushing your heart rate higher without you realizing it. Even some caffeine habits that used to be fine in your 40s may now be tipping your system into overdrive. It's worth taking a fresh look. So what's your resting heart rate? If you don't know, don't worry. You don't need a fancy gadget to measure it. Just sit calmly for 5 minutes, then place your fingers on your wrist or neck. Count the beats for 60 seconds, and that's your number. If you're in the healthy 60 to 80 range, wonderful. That's a sign your body is efficiently supporting itself. But if you're higher than 85, don't panic. It's not a sentence, it's a signal, and that signal can guide you back toward a longer, stronger life. Remember, it's not just how many years you live, it's how many of those years you can walk, think, love, and laugh freely. And your resting heart rate may quietly hold the key. If you've found this insight helpful so far, there's something else you might want to check out. Be sure to visit thegoldenyearsrx.com, where we share daily senior-friendly tips, anti-inflammatory recipes, and natural ways to protect your heart and brain. It's a welcoming space for those who want to take healthy aging into their own hands. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to this channel. We share senior-specific health secrets like these every week, and it's completely free. The next one might surprise you even more. It's not about your heart. It's not even about your body. It's about a daily behavior that most people overlook entirely, yet it may shape your longevity more than any supplement on your shelf. Number 2 is something your doctor may never mention unless you're in a hospital bed. but it could quietly be determining how long your body can keep going strong. It's how your body responds to inflammation. Yes, something happening deep inside you, often without pain, redness, or swelling, is quietly influencing your lifespan, and not in the way most people think. Inflammation gets a bad reputation, but it's not always the villain. In fact, short bursts of inflammation are part of your body's natural healing response. Cut your finger, and inflammation rushes in to disinfect and rebuild. Catch a cold, and inflammation activates your immune defenses. The problem comes when inflammation doesn't shut off. When the body can't properly turn down the flame, that's when the real damage begins. It's called chronic, low-grade inflammation. Here's the truth most people over 60 don't realize. This silent internal fire is one of the strongest predictors of aging and mortality. Researchers at Stanford and Harvard have now coined a term for this process: inflammaging. It's the smoldering, continuous inflammation that damages tissues, weakens blood vessels, and exhausts your immune system over time. Imagine your body's defense army constantly staying on high alert. Eventually, it gets tired, confused, and starts making mistakes, like attacking your own cells instead of foreign invaders. That's the beginning of arthritis, of heart disease, even neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's. But how would you even know this is happening inside you? Well, the signs are subtle but telling. Do you find that minor injuries like small bruises or scrapes take longer to heal than they used to? Do you frequently wake up stiff or swollen, especially in your joints? Are you experiencing regular fatigue even after a full night's rest? What about mysterious rashes or flare-ups of conditions you thought were under control? All of these may be outward clues that chronic inflammation is simmering under the surface. And here's what's so shocking. Studies have found that even slightly elevated CRP levels, that's C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation, can double your risk of cardiovascular disease and shorten your lifespan by as much as 5 to 8 years. Not from an accident or from one dramatic illness, but from this slow, invisible corrosion of your body's systems. That's what makes this sign so important and so dangerous. Because if you wait until it becomes something obvious, like a heart attack or memory loss, it may already be too late to reverse the damage. But here's the good news. Unlike your genes or your past health history, chronic inflammation is something you can influence, starting right now. In fact, some of the most effective anti-inflammatory strategies are things you're probably already familiar with. But it's not just about what you add to your routine. It's also about what you remove. For example, you might think taking an anti-inflammatory pill daily is helping you, but did you know that overuse of certain medications like ibuprofen can actually irritate the gut lining and increase inflammation long-term? It's ironic, but common. And so many people are caught in this loop, taking something to reduce inflammation that actually fuels the very problem it's meant to solve. What's a better way forward? Start with your plate. Foods like turmeric, fatty fish, extra virgin olive oil, leafy greens, and berries have been shown to reduce systemic inflammation. But even more important than adding these in is removing the common culprits: excess sugar, processed seed oils, and highly refined carbohydrates. These foods aren't just empty calories. They act like lighter fluid on the inflammation flame. And when you remove them, even slowly, many seniors report feeling clearer in the mind, lighter in the joints, and more energetic throughout the day. Then there's your emotional health. You might be surprised to learn that loneliness, chronic stress, and even poor sleep have all been linked to elevated inflammation levels. A study from UCLA found that people who felt isolated had higher levels of inflammatory markers than those who were socially connected, even if they ate the same foods and exercised the same amount. This means that having a good laugh with friends or getting a full night of quality sleep is just as important for your heart and brain as a clean diet. So how does this tie back to longevity? Because in long-term studies of people who live past 90 and even 100, one pattern emerges again and again. It's not just their genes. It's not just their exercise. It's that they all found ways, knowingly or not, to keep inflammation low. They gave their bodies the space to recover. They ate simply, moved regularly, and had strong emotional connections. Their immune systems weren't constantly waging war inside their own tissues. And as a result, their organs lasted longer, their brains stayed sharper, and their muscles stayed stronger well into advanced age. So if you're over 60 and want a real science-backed sign of how long you might live, don't just look at your blood pressure or cholesterol. Ask yourself this instead. How well does my body respond to small setbacks? Do I bounce back quickly from minor illness? Do I feel unusually sore for days after a simple activity? Do my wounds heal like they used to, or do they linger? These questions aren't just about comfort. They're early warning lights on the dashboard of your health. And once you notice them, you can make powerful changes, starting with your food, your stress, and your sleep. The last sign might surprise you. It has nothing to do with your diet or your joints, but it might be the single strongest predictor of whether you stay mentally sharp for the next decade. It is a sign so deeply connected to longevity, yet so often overlooked, that many people never consider it a health marker at all. And yet, science has confirmed it again and again. If you do this regularly, your chances of living longer, staying mentally sharp, and feeling fulfilled in later years skyrocket. Number 1. Sense of purpose. This isn't about your job, your responsibilities, or even your achievements. It's about something more personal, more grounded. It's that quiet but powerful feeling that you still matter, that you have something to offer, and that your presence makes a difference. And if you're thinking that sounds emotional, not biological, get ready for something surprising. A study published in JAMA Psychiatry followed over 7,000 older adults and found that those with a strong sense of purpose had a lower risk of death from all causes. Not just by a little, by over 40%. That's a stronger predictor than exercise, smoking status, or even blood pressure in some cases. Why? Because a sense of purpose impacts everything else. When you feel like your life has meaning, you take better care of yourself. You're more likely to move your body, eat nourishing foods, stay socially engaged, and manage stress. But it also works deeper than that. Purpose activates areas of the brain related to decision-making and emotion regulation. It reduces stress hormones like cortisol and supports healthier inflammatory responses. In fact, people with high purpose levels have been found to have lower levels of interleukin-6, a key marker of chronic inflammation we just talked about earlier. That means your sense of meaning might actually protect your heart, immune system, and even your cells. And it's not about having grand goals. Some of the healthiest seniors in the world find purpose in the simplest things: tending to a garden, teaching a grandchild to bake, calling an old friend once a week, reading aloud at a local library, volunteering for a cause that feels personal. It's not the size of the action, it's the connection it creates between your heart, your mind, and the world around you. Without purpose, life starts to shrink. Days blend into each other. Movement feels less urgent, and loneliness creeps in, slowly sapping your energy, your drive, and your health. Have you felt this too? You wake up, and instead of feeling curious or motivated, you feel like the day is just something to get through. Maybe you're retired and unsure of what comes next. Maybe you've lost someone who made you feel seen, and you haven't quite figured out how to fill that space. If so, you're not alone. And here's the best part. It's never too late to rediscover meaning. In fact, many people find their greatest purpose after 60 because the distractions are quieter, and the time is finally yours. You can ask yourself this question today. What small thing would make today feel worthwhile? Not productive? Not impressive? Just worthwhile. Maybe it's writing down a memory. Maybe it's sharing advice. Maybe it's something playful or creative. If it lights you up, it matters. And if you're not sure where to begin, try this simple practice. Each morning, write down one reason you're glad to be alive that day. It can be as simple as sunlight coming through the window or a warm cup of tea. This routine rewires the brain to seek purpose in the ordinary, and over time, that feeling builds. It's subtle, but it changes everything. The world needs your wisdom, your stories, your care. You might not realize how many people quietly benefit from your presence, but when you carry a sense of meaning, your body knows it. Your heart beats stronger, your cells recover faster, your brain lights up with clarity and connection. So if you're over 60 and wondering how long you might live, ask yourself this instead. How often do I feel needed, valued, connected to something larger than myself? These are not soft questions. They're biological signals of resilience, healing, and yes, longevity. Here's what you need to remember. The body is not just a machine. It's a living, emotional, human system. And one of the strongest predictors of how long it will keep going is how deeply it feels it has something to live for. So whether your purpose is bold or quiet, external or internal, shared or solitary, nourish it. It's not just a reason to wake up. It's one of the greatest health decisions you can make. If this resonated with you, you'll find even more support and inspiration inside our private community at thegoldenyearsrx.com. That's where thousands of like-minded seniors share tips, encouragement, and real stories about what's working for them. It's a powerful reminder that you're not on this journey alone. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe. Because every week, we uncover the hidden patterns behind healthy aging and share them with people just like you in a way that's simple, caring, and deeply human. Let's keep this momentum going, together. Stay strong, stay curious, and stay connected.